Man United stars miss training as Marcus Rashford returns ahead of Rangers. Manchester United were missing two first-team stars in training on Wednesday, but Marcus Rashford is back. Manchester United were missing two players from training on Wednesday ahead of their Europa League clash with Rangers, as Marcus Rashford returns to the squad. Ruben Amorim's side trained at Carrington ahead of their Europa League phase match at Old Trafford on Thursday evening, but did so without Mason Mount and Luke Shaw. The England international pair have struggled with injuries this season, and it appears the Red Devils boss will be forced to make without them in his squad. Shaw hasn't played since November, having suffered a setback in his recovery from a calf injury a month later. The 29-year-old is closing in on a return to fitness, but the game will arrive too soon for him. Mount, meanwhile, hasn't been seen on the pitch since he was forced off with a muscle injury during their win over Manchester City in December. However, Victor Lindelof was amongst the players to take part in the group session as the Swede continues his recovery from injury. He was joined by Rashford, who hasn't played since the 2-1 win over Victoria Plzen on December 12. The forward has been linked with a move away from the club in January, with reported loan interest from Barcelona, AC Milan and Borussia Dortmund. Rashford declared that he was ready for a new challenge after being left out of the squad for the Manchester derby. But the 27-year-old has shown a willingness to fight for his future at United under Amorim and may now get a second chance under the Portuguese coach. United's dismal form has seen them lose 7 of their last 15 matches following a 3-1 defeat to Brighton. And that means Amorim, who called his side maybe the worst United team in history after the game, may have to use the out-of-favour winger to turn things around. Rashford has featured in all 6 of their Europa League matches this season, scoring 1 and assisting another in the 3-3 draw with FC Porto in October. His inclusion in training comes just days after the 39-year-old boss claimed he didn't want to play against Brighton. "Guys, it is his choice not to play," he said. "I don't want to focus on this bad moment because in the games we lost, Rashford is not here. Rashford is out of this moment. I am not going to put in a player I don't believe is the best for the team." Amorim had previously suggested Rashford had an issue with his training levels, which was behind his prolonged absence from the first team. Manchester United's preparations for Thursday's Europa League clash have been completed in front of the cameras at Carrington. Ruben Amorim can ensure Europa League progression on Thursday when Rangers arrive at Old Trafford for the penultimate game of the league phase. Unbeaten after 6 games in the tournament so far, Manchester United welcome the Scottish Giants in a massive clash. Coming off a disappointing defeat to Brighton at the weekend, Amorim will be desperate to see a return to form and back in the win column, with his team selection looking likely to be a big factor. United have suffered from sloppy mistakes often this season, and this was the case at the weekend, so we expect some changes to the starting group on Thursday. On Wednesday, we got a look into who might be available to Amorim, with training filmed at Carrington. Marcus Rashford and Antony in Manchester United training with MUTV live at Carrington. Training was originally scheduled for 10:45 a.m., however, it was 30 minutes later when coverage actually started. When we finally got a glimpse of the grass, there were some notable faces we were surprised to see involved in the session. The first was Marcus Rashford, who hasn't played for United in over a month. Rashford has been linked with a January exit to half of Europe, with the transfer race now looking likely to drag into the final days of the window. This was also Rashford's return to training, having been out for a variety of reasons including illness. Joining Rashford was Antony, which was a surprise considering the Brazilian winger is on the verge of moving to Real Betis on loan. Another player involved amid heavy exit rumors was Alejandro Garnacho, who was spotted walking out to the pitch deep in a discussion with Darren Fletcher. This is despite Garnacho's move to Napoli beginning to edge closer, with more talk scheduled. However, the final week and a half of the window promises to shake things up, with multiple big names linked with moving away this month. Rashford is still looking for a loan, with Barcelona looking for ways to sign him. However, Borussia Dortmund could be about to hire Erik ten Hag, which could give Rashford a lifeline. Antony is thought to have a loan move agreed and his exit until July is imminent. Garnacho meanwhile is wanted by Napoli, with the €60 million move labelled as being very close by the press in Italy. So this session may be the last we get to see Garnacho or Antony in, with Rashford currently looking the furthest from leaving. If all this happens, we can expect additions to Amorim's squad. So it could be a blockbuster end to the window at Old Trafford. Manchester United's January window has been lukewarm so far, to put it politely, but it could be about to kick into a frenzy soon. Man United have opened talks for Patrick Dorgu. Alejandro Garnacho's transfer could become a reality. The Marcus Rashford situation is in limbo but could accelerate, and other players in the squad face uncertain futures too. All this means that there are a lot of moving parts going into the final 2 weeks of the window, some of which will be resolves, others which will be dragged till the summer. Hey race, what United's ideal end to the transfer window could look like. This is an ideal scenario, so even if 2 of these 3 things happen, it would be a bona fide win for the club. This one seems the likeliest to happen, which alone will be a major win for Ruben Amorim, who is having to plug square pegs in round holes at the moment. Dorgu's potential arrival should add much-needed thrust and dynamism to an ailing left wing-back position, which is the biggest issue in the squad at the moment. A striker or a progressive passing midfield also wouldn't go amiss, but after Randal Kolo Muani joined Juventus, one option is off the table. However, if Alejandro Garnacho is sold, which is looking likelier by the minute, Amorim will need a player for those 3 attacking spots. Ryan Cherki could be a bargain addition. Links to Matheus Cunha have popped up again, but neither is a striker. Ideally, funds from selling Garnacho would be diverted to fetch a proven hitman like Dusan Vlahovic. More than a lack of transfer funds, United's biggest issue is having underperformers in the squad getting paid like the best players in the world. High wages is why they're struggling to shift Rashford, and it is the same reason why United achieved the impossible, making a Saudi team think that money is not worth it. Casemiro. The club have pivoted to a ruthless stance to fix this issue, as seen in their contribution to Antony's salary just to get him out, even if it's for just 6 months. Ideally, if they manage to offload Rashford, Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, and Victor Lindelof, both expiring contracts, they will have easily saved close to €1 million week on wages alone. Roughly, for 6 months, 4 weeks each, that's €24 million saved in wages. Even if they have to contribute a portion to sell, they likely will, they should still easily save €10 to €12 million. That's far more than Sir Jim Ratcliffe will ever save by cutting the bonus for the Steward of the Week. It has flown under the radar amidst all the noise surrounding Dorgu, but United's links to Nene Dorgiels came as a surprise to everyone earlier in January. It cooled down after Dorgu links, but United's interest remains in the player, and Christopher Vival can be relied upon for RB talents. He isn't expected to cost much either, and if Garnacho is sold, then Dorgelisa forward Dorgu will constitute a very good transfer window for United, especially by January standards.